I'm trying to piss you off because pain builds influence. Pain builds change. You have to hit rock bottom. And if it takes me being a jerk on my own podcast to get you to move and to get you to change and to get you to be healthy, then by all means, I will be that jerk for you. All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Jacque Show. I'm excited, I'm nervous, I am angry, I am enraged. I am basically every single emotion you can have gathered around this particular topic. And this topic enrages me in that if you know anything about me, you know I love family, you know I love kids, you know I love taking care of kids. And I found myself kind of being like a holistic pediatrician to a lot of my patients' kids. And this topic drives me insane. So to give a little bit of a backstory, I think it was a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago at this point, there was a person, I don't even know what her name or what her name is or what her degree was in. I didn't really care, but I think everyone has seen this clip be shoved through social media, Instagram, TikTok, etc. And basically what this woman says is that you are obese or you are fat because of your genes and your parents, and that's basically it. And if you are fat and you are obese, there's nothing you can do. You can't diet it, you can't exercise it, you can't change your lifestyle. Nothing you can do can change that. That drives me fucking insane. Time and time again, I'm going to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but the powers that be have been working so hard at removing any chance of responsibility that we have as human beings on this earth to be able to take care of ourselves. They're trying to destroy chicken farms. They're trying to destroy farms. They're trying to tell us what we can eat, tell us what we can't eat, but yet we still have poison in our food. We still have poison in our drinking water. They're spraying our skies to try to stop the sun from shining on us due to climate change and global warming. And something that really sparked my, I need to do this gene, or I need to do this piece of myself, was when I was talking with a patient this week. And she had a baby that was born, had some complications and things, and they had a normal thyroid read on this kid, and then thyroid reading was way high, and then they were like, oh, we need to put this kid on Synthroid, even though the T4 levels were normal. For those of you who don't know, Synthroid is T4, synthetic T4. So when you have normal levels of T4 and you add T4, the goal is to try to shut down the signal from the brain to produce TSH. However, that's not what the problem is. Okay, so this patient chose not to give her baby Synthroid, and they got tested very soon after, and the marker went, I think it was at 20 something, and then it dropped down like 15 points or so just in like a month. And the doctor was like, oh, it's working. And then this baby also had another complication where when it was born, it has a kind of a leaky valve, and then there's a hole next to one of the valves that was leaky. And so the cardiologist was like, oh, well now, because the protocol we've been putting the kiddo on, they were able to push out the surgery for like a year and a half or so. We're kind of like, see what happens. It can still close. It can not close. Who knows? And her fear was lived out because when she went to the cardiologist, she had to report any medications that the child was on, and she did not say Synthroid. That cardiologist called her endocrinologist. The endocrinologist called her and started cussing her out and saying that her baby's going to be retarded and threatening. And so she's in this space where she thinks she's going to lose her kid, like the state's going to come and take her kid. And I told her this, I'm like, this is ridiculous, because we have this side of things, right? Where you just use logical thought, logical brain, and you realize, hey, this child does not need T4. It doesn't. Whether you're a doctor or not, it just makes sense. You have plenty of T4. You give more T4. What the fuck's the point? Why are you doing that? Stupid. Okay, fix that underlying cause. But we have in this world a new level of obesity in our children. We're seeing Stay Puft Marshmallow kids that are being normalized in our society. We are fat glorifying people, and people are afraid to be fat shamed. And this is the new healthy. This is the new look. No, it's not. No, it's not at all. being overweight and being obese is an indicator of your current state of health. If you are overweight, you are not healthy. If you are obese, you sure as shit are not healthy. And those who are afraid to tell you so are allowing you to die. Every single day goes by, you are dying more and more. You are also being a burden on the healthcare system. You're over-consuming medications. Then you're going to piss those medications in our water, and then people in the cities and things are going to drink that water. So you're poisoning society because you're choosing to be overweight and you're choosing to be obese. Now, what they're trying to say is you have a better likelihood of being skinny if you were born to skinnier parents or healthier parents. So they're trying to say, well, parents, take care of yourselves before you have kids. And now that part, I do 100% agree with, right? If you can't function, if you can't move, if you don't have energy, you should not have kids. Because Lord, let me tell you what, if you don't have energy now, you're gonna break, right? We have probably over 50% of marriages ending in divorce. I feel like a lot of that is due to or stirred up due to miscommunication that happened prior to having a child, right? And you can't communicate with each other, and then children wake you up. They stress you out. They change your schedule. They get sick. You get sick. You have to constantly schedule your life around what your kid is able to do and what you're able to do. That's stressful. But that is not a death sentence to that poor child. Genes, and we've known this for years, genes are like 1,000% dependent. They're highly dependent on diet and lifestyle. There is a whole division of scientific research that I talk about all the time called epigenetics. And that means you could be born with a shit hand of genes, but if you change your diet and you change your lifestyle and you live different or differently compared to your parents, your body will then deactivate certain genes. They've done studies on identical twins. They took a genetic code, a genetic blueprint of them when they were born, followed up with them about 15 years, mapped their genes again, then they were totally different. And they're like, what the heck? How is that possible? We as human beings are given the gift from God to adapt to our surroundings. Even at a level deeper, we are able to adapt to our perception of our surroundings. Obese parents, yes, can give some crappy genes, crappy quality of life to our kids, but the biggest problem is that child mimicking obese behavior, overweight behavior. Did your parents just sit around on their ass all the time and eat ho-hos and complain about the government and just eat crap day in and day out? Does your breakfast come from McDonald's drive-thru? What are these factors? What are these lifestyle factors that are occurring that are causing your genes to express obesity? This is parental stuff, and in my opinion, if CPS or any of those agencies are coming to seize any children, you should take the children that are obese, because these families are killing their kids. It was already said that my generation was going to be the first generation to not be able to outlive our parents. Now it's like, these kids are lucky to get into their teenage years. And on top of that, you're throwing into the sex changes and all of this extra stuff and hormones and medical castration on top of it. These kids are going to die at a record rate. They're going to be stuck on medications at a record rate, right? You're creating a sedentary lifestyle, a sedentary culture, which has never, ever been a part of any successful culture, ever. If you can't get up off the couch as a kid because you're too fat, and you put a permanent indent on the couch, and you're just like a fat little egg in the couch, whose fault is that? That's not the child's fault. All right? Now, eventually when the child's able to kind of think for themselves, no, not when they're 4 and want to cut their balls off, when they're teenagers and they can actually start to rationally think, you're like, wait a second, maybe when I eat that way, I feel like crap, so maybe I should change that. Maybe that way of life isn't working for me anymore. But it is our parents' responsibility to do the best they can with the knowledge that they have. And when you got these idiots coming on, I think it was 60 Minutes or whatever the hell it was, trying to tell people there's nothing you can do, just deal with being fat and obese or take these medications, they're continuously telling you, well, don't worry about going to the gym. It's pointless. Don't eat healthy. That's pointless. Don't meditate. Don't sleep properly. Are you kidding me? There's medications for that. That's pointless. And so we're at this peak of either we go back to the way things used to be, or we set a new sedentary standard for society today. This obesity. And I know that there's a movie, I think it's Wall-E, where like these fat people, and if you think I'm fat shaming, no, I'm health shaming. I'm health shaming people. You should not be fat. You should not be obese. Okay, it's your choice if you do want to be or you don't want to be. So stop trying to push responsibility, especially if you're a grown-ass person. It's your responsibility to make change. You have to hit rock bottom to make change. If a crackhead can hit rock bottom and go into recovery and recover, then you sure as shit can go into hit rock bottom and recover from your sugar dependency. Invest in your health, right? Because that's the other problem, is that when you get this level of dysfunction in the body, you've got more medications, more sickness, more disease, right? And then you're sucking on the teeth of insurance. And then that means you're less likely to do anything to work hard for yourself because insurance is going to pay for you to be miserable and be on medications. So it creates this complacent lifestyle that we don't want to change because we could just milk my insurance. This is a $20 copay, or maybe I get free care because I don't know what the hell Obama. I don't even have health insurance right now because I take care of myself. I take care of my family, right? But when you have these people that are trying to just permeate through and say, we need to start embracing obesity as healthy or the new healthy, that is disgusting. It is disgusting. And I'm not talking about a superficial standpoint. You're literally being tricked into your own death. That is what is disgusting. You can do things to change your diet. You can do things to change your lifestyle. We cannot say things are too expensive anymore. Now, we can say everything is more expensive now. Thanks a lot, Joe Biden. But we can't say eating organic is expensive. Walmart has organic fruits and vegetables and things. Aldi has organic fruits and vegetables. They have grass-fed beef. They've got good quality food. And when you eat organic, you're more full because you're actually getting nutrients. You're actually getting calories from the food that you are consuming. It's not just this empty calories, this inflammation is causing inflammatory balls in your gut, right? Personal responsibility. Now, I took personal responsibility, and I'm like, I want to see what's being said online. I want to see what the quote-unquote research is telling us when it comes to obesity. So I pulled some stuff up here, okay? So we got right here, studies show only about 25% link or correlation between your genes and obesity. That right there ends the argument. 25% of your genes dictate your obesity. Okay, and this isn't my statistic. This one was a study that they did on Healthline, I believe. Okay, yeah, Healthline. Okay, so 25% is correlated with your genes. Of that, right, remembering genes can be turned off, turned on, your diet and lifestyle could then manipulate that 25%, get it back down. Okay, moving on from that. So in 2016, 30% of adults were obese, okay? 40% of children with excess weight will continue to be heavy during their teenage years. 75 to 80% of teenagers with obesity will maintain this condition into adulthood, okay? So obesity starts in childhood. Who is raising these children? Parents, step it up. Stop with the excuses of, it's too hard for my kid to eat healthy. It's too hard to be gluten-free. It's too hard to avoid dairy. It's too hard because you don't give a shit. It's too hard because you don't want to put that cookie down. Your fault. Your kid should be taken from you. Moving on. birth and infancy childhood habits, okay, that cause an increase in obesity. The babies are considered to be heavier if born through C-section, right? What are they trying to push moms to do? Cut the thing out like it's a tumor, get a C-section, boom. Your kid has a higher risk of being overweight and obese. Good job. Good job, medical system. What else? Formula fed. More likely to be fat and obese if you're formula fed. C-section, parents have difficult time with breastfeeding, too much pressure on them, they have to get back to work, feed them formula. Parents, your responsibility. You're learning this. If it's the first time you've heard this, now if you're breastfeeding or if you're about to have kids, learn this, install this. If you don't, this is not an ignorance is bliss thing. You are aware of it. You need to change it. Otherwise, when your kid is sick and suffering, it's your fault. You got to look back at yourself. Okay, yell at me all you want. I don't care. I'm throwing at statistics, research. I'm throwing all this at you. But I'm also doing it in a way that I want you, anybody listening who is overweight or obese, I want you to get a new sense of empowerment. I'm trying to piss you off because pain builds influence. Pain builds change. You have to hit rock bottom. And if it takes me being a jerk on my own podcast to get you to move and to get you to change and to get you to be healthy, then by all means, I will be that jerk for you. I will be your drill sergeant to drill it into your head that you have no excuse except the excuses that you make for yourself. Do it and do it right. And if you're not willing to do it for yourself, don't have kids. Don't. Because you're going to make them suffer, and that is selfish of you. What else? Bad gut bacteria. So we already know gut bacteria is going to be altered. It's going to be dysfunctional if we're born C-section. A lot of kids, parents are giving antibiotics for group B strep. Totally eradicates your good probiotics, damages a child's gut, damages good bacteria. Formula has all kinds of disgusting ingredients in it that's also going to alter your gut microbiome. Have a higher prevalence of overweight and obese kids, right? If you haven't got the gist of this yet, the standard American recommendations are what's causing us to be overweight and obese in society. You caught that yet? Right? They tell you to get a C-section. They tell you to formula feed. They tell you to give your kids antibiotics. And what happens? You get a sick freaking kid on the other end. Another thing it says in this Healthline study is that you need to feed kids healthy food so that they don't crave the bad. And so what they were saying was very interesting, but also very commonsensical. Maybe that's a word. If you give your kid shitty food, they're going to crave shitty food. They're only going to know shitty food. Their taste buds are only going to want to taste shitty food. So when you try to overhaul their diet, you're like, eat this carrot instead of this popsicle, kids are going to be like, what the? No. Give me that popsicle right now. Throw temper tantrums, etc., etc., etc. Start young, and your kids will eat healthy. I got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. They eat incredibly healthy. They want to eat incredibly healthy. Right? We joked around. We found like a piece of Halloween candy 3 days ago, whenever it was, up in a cupboard. He's up climbing in the cabinets, grabbed it. I was like, what's this, Mom? And it was some milk chocolate, something or other. It was still like organic, but it was a milk chocolate thing. And so my wife, Megan, was like, oh, that has dairy in it, so we're not going to eat that. And my son turned to her and was like, why do you have something that has dairy? You know it's going to make you sick. You know it's bad for you. It's going to cause inflammation. Why do you have it? You shouldn't eat this, Mom. 4 years old. What is your excuse? The excuse comes from your parental skills and your willingness to change and make your kid healthy. Okay, you have to start with this foundation, but you have to be the leader of the household, parents, so that children will follow. If you keep shit in the house, shit will be consumed. If you keep good stuff in the house, that's all that will be there for them to be able to consume. So the kids might get hungry for a little bit. They might throw temper tantrums, but they're sure as heck going to come back to you and say, you know what, maybe I will have that protein. All right, 40% of children with excess weight will continue to be heavy during their teenage years. 75 to 80% of teenagers with obesity will maintain this into adulthood. So get this together, okay? Other things, you know, we've got all kinds of different things. I remember, and I feel really bad for this person. When I was in high school, okay, this person was in, I'll say normal shape. She was in normal shape. she went through some tough times and got put on an antidepressant. She came back after summer break and was huge. Just like 3 months, whatever summer break was, like boom, huge. And I'm like, oh man, like what happened? She's like, well, I got put on an antidepressant. Wow, okay, that's unfortunate. Like, and again, I didn't know stuff back then. I'm like, well, sorry for your loss, sorry for what you went through, but like, wow, that was a big thing that was like, oh, all right, well, antidepressants can make that happen. Well, for this, I'm like, well, a lot of kids are getting put on antidepressants, and a lot of our feel-good neurotransmitters and things like serotonin are going to be produced down in the gut. So if we have C-section, bad gut bacteria, bad diet, feeding sugary foods, altering gut bacteria, it's going to lead our kids into a state of distress or depression or anxiety. What are we going to do? Because America tells us to. We're going to put our kids on antidepressants because we don't want to see our kids commit suicide, right? I get that. I would never want my kid to go through that. However, you're still not addressing the issue. Antidepressants are going to make your kid fat. How is that then going to play into depression? Maybe nowadays, because it's a cupcake world, nobody will say anything about them getting fat and getting obese, but they need to be made aware. Again, 75 to 80% of those who are obese or overweight in their teenage years carry that into adulthood. What kind of quality of life are you looking forward to? A bare minimum, right? What kind of life do you want to lead? That's not the type of life that I would ever want for myself, my patients, my kids, my family, nobody. Okay? So let's get this straight. Let's get this together. So huge correlation with SSRIs, antidepressants, and weight gain. Tons of research on the gut microbiome as well. And obesity, certain categories of bacteria can also cause us to store more of our calories into our bodies, right? Then on top of it, with our food supply, we've got inflammatory food, we've got glyphosate, we've got horrible soil, we've got genetically modified foods, we've got sugar and basically everything that's out there, and is constantly making us in a stressed, gut-damaged world. Now on top of that, what else can cause people to be overweight? Stress. Have I stressed you out yet? Stress is a huge, huge, huge proponent of causing us to be overweight. Because what happens? Our thyroid starts to go down. Right? If you ever take a thyroid medication like Synthroid, like we mentioned in the beginning, and you read the insert, it says don't take unless you fix your adrenals. Why? Your adrenals, stress is going to dictate how well your thyroid functions. Okay? So we've got that correlation. Women, for you, right? What happens when we're stressed out, or when you're stressed out? You drop your progesterone, which then increases your progesterone to estradiol ratio and causes you to be estrogen dominant. It also causes you to crave shitty foods, which also causes more aromatase activity to take place, more inflammatory, more aromatase, more estrogen. You are now estrogen dominant. You now put yourself in a higher risk category for breast cancer or other types of estrogen receptor positive cancers. We following? For men, if we're stressed out, it's going to lower our testosterone. If it lowers our testosterone, what's going to happen? Less muscle mass. Less muscle mass means we carry around more fat, where the muscle that we had gets deconstructed to release amino acids into the body. So we have like 15 years of hard muscle that we worked on, and in a month of just unbelievable amounts of stress, all that muscle has been whittled down to just soft inflammation in the body, right? So there are so many things, so many reasons that people are sick, suffering, and obese. And a lot of it does start in childhood. So this is a call to action for parents that are out there. You have to start taking your own personal responsibility. When I work with my patients, my protocols, my procedures, my care trickles down to their kids. Their kids know better, right? They know how to eat. It might be frustrating at first, but then they find more friends, right? They find their own little tribe of people who are eating healthy. And then we have healthy kids growing up together, making smarter decisions together, being healthy together, exercising, moving their bodies. Movement is life. Sedentary is death, right? You don't move when you're in a coffin. Well, hopefully you don't move in a coffin, otherwise a little premature there. But what we're doing as a society is we're normalizing this theory of it doesn't matter what you physically look like. Nobody should tell you that you are unhealthy, that you're sick, that's gross, or whatever it might be. But when it comes to the fact that you're spilling over into the next airplane seat, or you go to Walmart with two perfectly able legs and you hop on one of those little rascal scooters and shuffle around Walmart while you shop and throw stuff in your little cart because you're too fat to get up off of that, that's personal choice. That's personal decision. That's unwillingness to change. You have not hit your rock bottom yet, because people, and the people that love you or say that they love you, that allow that, they don't love you. They're afraid of you. They're afraid of you getting upset with them. They're afraid because they can't communicate with you. They can't express their love for you and saying, hey, Susie, I always say Susie. There's nothing against Susie's, by the way. I don't know why I always say that. Hey, Susie, I've noticed, and again, I'm saying this out of a place of love, but I've noticed you've gained quite a bit of weight. Are you okay? Is there anything I can do to support you? Are you stressed? Are you having a difficult time? Can we talk? How can I help you? Because I see what's happening and I want to be there to support you, right? If you tell people that, some might get absolutely outraged and say you're fat shaming, you're rude, you're gross, or they'll cry or they get emotional. It's like, God dang it. Why does everything have to be so emotionally charged? Why can't I just say that I care about you and I want you to be healthy? I want you to be here. I want you to be here for me. I want you to be here for our kids and grandkids and our great grandkids, right? If we live long enough, right? And this isn't just goals and aspirations of my family. Like, I feel like everybody should be entitled to that life, to that quality of life. So we have to start living for ourselves. We have to start fending for ourselves, and we have to be our own health advocates. If we continue to let mass media, social media, and influencers who don't know what the hell they're talking about band-aid stuff or say that there's nothing you can do, you just have to take medications. There is not a one-size-fits-all for this stuff. And I'm not saying that all you need to do is exercise and cut your calories, because I don't agree in cutting calories. Now, if you're eating 5,000 calories and you're not moving, yeah, I would say, listen, you might not want to do that. But what is your body doing with those calories, right? Are you in a state of being sick? We need more protein, therefore your calories are going to be increased, right? Are you trying to gain muscle? You need more protein, maybe a little more carbs, fats, right? Fats have more calories per gram versus proteins and carbs, right? What does your macro split look like? I am not big for calorie restrictions. I've done bodybuilding and men's physique competitions. It's not healthy. You look great, sure. It's not sustainable. It's not healthy. So we have to do things for our health. And we have to do things in a way that it's not a fad. It's not an herb. It's not a supplement. It's not a medication. It's a lifestyle change. So this podcast, this episode, I swore a few times I was nervous, fidgeting with a screw in my hand, because I'm just like, this is just too much, too many excuses, too much ridiculousness, right? So if you're like, Doc, what do I do? How do I take care of myself? Start simple. Get some sleep, de-stress, meditate, start reading books, get away from the TV, get away from toxic relationships. Toxic relationships bring toxic lifestyle. Whether it's alcohol consumption, marijuana consumption, poor food consumption, get out of abusive relationships with spouses, with boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever. You start doing those things, you'll start noticing your body starts to perform. Just get up and move. You don't have to have the perfect workout split to get some change. Just move your body. Okay, do some videos on YouTube. There's free videos all over the place. There's no excuse as to why you can't exercise or move your body. If you're listening to me on a phone, you probably have YouTube or access to YouTube on your phone. Pop on it and get a 15-minute high-intensity workout, or 15-minute Pilates or yoga or something. Start somewhere. Just go outside and walk. The weather's about to start getting super nice. Get out and move, and stop listening to people who tell you that this is just it. Whether you're a mom who just had a kid and you're like, oh, this is just the new me, I can't get back to the better version of me, or you're somebody who's thinking about having kids, or you're just somebody who's just walking through life and you're way heavier than what you want to be. It's not about being superficial. You're not fat shaming yourself. You have different expectations for yourself. You have a different outlook of what your potential looks like. And when you don't hit your potential, you should be pissed off about it, and pissed off enough to change. So I challenge everyone listening, with this year, we're in February, with this year, get after it. Start making small habits, day in and day out, little changes here, little changes there. Avoid gluten, dairy, corn, soy. And when I say avoid gluten, it doesn't mean go grab other bread products that are gluten-free. Just avoid bread products. You don't need it. It's an emotional thing. You have eggs and toast, right? Spaghetti and meatballs. You always have carbs. Oh, this and that, this and that. You get a burger, get it without a bun. You don't need a gluten-free bun. Start making small changes and you will see your body change. And you will thank me and you will thank yourself because you're the one doing the work. So after all this, I love y'all. Have a great rest of the day. And thanks as usual for tuning into the Doc Jacque Show.